everybody, and welcome to what I hope is going to become a weekly feature on this here channel. I'm calling it the Week in Review, and what I'm looking at doing is picking the top 5 or 6. I'm not going to put a particular number on it, but roughly 5 stories of the week, and just discuss them in a kind of casual, unscripted manner, so I can share my thoughts about them and make sure that everybody didn't miss any of the big news that happened through the week. So this is the first episode of that. Let me know what you think, and hopefully you enjoy it and find it worthwhile. So I'll start with the really big news first up, the Nintendo Direct. So Nintendo held one of its regular Directs, and it was a big one. It was about 50 minutes, I believe, and they haven't done one of those for a while, so they gave us an update on all the big games coming out, and there was a lot to get excited about. So there was a new Samurai Warriors game, which looks absolutely gorgeous. I love the art style. They've changed it a little bit for this one, and it looks really good. The same company, Koei Tecmo, is coming up with a Ninja Gaiden collection, so you can relive some of those classically difficult and challenging and interesting games. There was also a Caligula Effect 2 announced, and I'm really excited for that. I never thought we'd get a sequel to it. The Caligula Effect is an incredibly intelligent game, but one that definitely flew under the radar, so I'm hoping that this sequel is just as smart and gets a better run this time around. And then finally, there was a really, really interesting game announcement. The team behind Octopath Traveler, that really excellent JRPG that came at the start of the Switch's lifespan, is back again with a game very heavily inspired by Final Fantasy Tactics. And they've actually put out a demo already. The game's not out until 2022, but because I think they wanted to gather feedback for it and whatever, they've gone and put an early demo out so you can play a couple of levels right now. I have streamed that. You can check that out on my channel, and I am really, even in this very early stage of this game, I'm very much in love with it. I think it's going to be excellent. So yes, there was also plenty of other announcements, Smash Brother announcements, and all that kind of stuff. The Direct was really good, shows that the Nintendo Switch has a lot of life ahead of it, despite being very much underpowered compared to the Xbox and PlayStation, and we have plenty of games to look forward to coming on that console in the year or so ahead. Secondly, I need to talk about something which is really only affecting Australia, but it affects digitally-downloaded.net, and it's a bit of housekeeping, and I need to make my listeners and viewers and audience aware of this. Facebook has blocked the entire Australian media landscape, so Australian media publications can no longer post to Facebook, and Australians can no longer access any media from anywhere in the world inside Australia. Facebook has done this in response to a government mandate that they pay the larger publishers for the links that are hosted on their websites, on the social network, and Facebook didn't want to do that. So in an act of malicious compliance, they have turned the media off, essentially, within their platform. So if you are a member of the digitally-downloaded.net Facebook page, which I spent a lot of time building up, it's got 55,000 members at this stage, which was pretty good for a boutique publication like ours. That's all kind of wasted energy now. You won't see much if you're on that page, and I recommend that you bookmark digitally-downloaded.net and visit us on YouTube, because that's the only way you're going to be able to consume our content going forwards. I don't know if I'm ever going to get anything to back with that Facebook page. I don't know what's going to happen, because the law is still a little bit up in the air, but who knows if I'm actually going to get my Facebook page back. It's interesting that the YouTube channel here hasn't been affected, because Google has been affected by the same law that the government is proposing. They managed to figure out a way to make it work without getting into the malicious compliance of Facebook. I'm very upset with Facebook right now. I spent thousands of dollars kind of building up that page, promoting it and using it. It was a major outlet for digitally-downloaded.net. So if you want to send me a couple of clicks over the next couple of days, just in support, I could certainly use the traffic boost, because I've already seen a 5 to 10% drop off in traffic on the website because I have lost that Facebook page. Next up, we have a story regarding Martin Scorsese, the great filmmaker who has been very vocal in supporting the artistry of filmmaking. He has taken aim at Netflix, and in an interview basically said that cinema is being devalued by content. And what he basically means there is that Netflix doesn't really care what gets on its platform. It's just mathematically deciding, based on popularity and whatever, what will be made, and it is basically turning the entertainment industry, the cinema industry, into something in which everything is greenlit based entirely on what kind of content reach it's going to have, how popular it's going to be, rather than the ideas behind the stuff. The ideas no longer matter when you're talking about content. It really is just how wide the reach is going to be and how many people are going to consume the content. Now, this is a topic that I have talked about quite often with regards to video games as well, and basically Martin is completely right. Good old Marty, he knows his stuff. Content is a huge problem in video games as well. Everything is just so focused around giving audiences stuff. What that stuff is just doesn't matter anymore. And you just see the kind of games that are doing greenlit, they're all following similar patterns because that is what is proved to be commercially successful and drive more content into people's consoles. So people are playing more games than ever before, but what they are playing is losing its creative streak because of this drive towards content, which is of course managed by marketing and CEOs, kind of suit-wearing CEOs that have MBAs. The people making the decisions about the games being made are making decisions not based on creativity, they're making decisions based entirely on business. And that's really what Scorsese was saying. It applies to cinema, it applies to video games. We should all be in solidarity. If we care about video games as an art form, or we care about cinema as an art form, we really need to listen to people like Scorsese and hopefully create some kind of resistance movement where we actually try to shift the conversation away from content and back towards art. Okay, next up we have a game that has really blown up the discourse. It was a cancelled game, but it got uncancelled, and they've just started to do the media tour to talk about it, and every time there's an article written about it, the discussion blows up again. The game is called 6 Days in Fallujah, and it is one of those military first-person shooter things. The difference with this one being that it is a retelling of an actual engagement that happened during the Iraq War, and the really big concern with this one is that that engagement was notorious for involving war crimes on the behalf of the American forces, and it is being developed by an American team and funded, if not the studio being managed by a guy that was ex-CIA and quite clearly partial to the American, or sympathetic towards the Americans in this conflict. And he's been out there and has said as much, this is not a political game because they're just showing the impact of the war on the soldiers and so on and so forth. The problem is, once again, this is a war crime that they are depicting, and there's almost certainly going to be no way that this game is going to engage with that topic as a war crime. It's just going to show soldiers fighting and so on and so forth. It is not going to grapple with the actual issues that we should be grappling with regards to this game. This continues my conversations that I've been having both on digitally-downloaded.net and this YouTube channel about the way that war games kind of work as propaganda. This game, the guy that is heading up the game, or the studio, he's also been involved in actual propaganda projects, and we should be concerned about this stuff because historical revisionism is a very real thing, and video games, being the most popular entertainment media that we have, become a very strong target for these people that want to revise history, use it to their own ends, and to support something that really shouldn't be supported. We should definitely be critical of war crimes. We shouldn't be sweeping them under the rug. We shouldn't be focusing the story on the impact that's had on the soldiers when it was actually the Iraqi civilians that suffered from this. And we should just not let the conversation about this game turn to how good it plays, because it doesn't matter how good it's going to play. What's going to matter is how it engages with its themes. The early indications are that it's not going to engage with these themes well at all.
Must be experienced.
Finally, for this week, we have got a positive story with a positive game to talk about as well. Square Enix is getting very close to the release date for NieR Replicant Remake, which you'll be able to play on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and whatever else. And they've released a new 10-minute gameplay demo video of the game, and it is really looking good. Of course it's going to look good. I mean, this is a game that I hold very close to me. I've ranked it as my #1 game of all time, even after NieR Automata, which I do think is a more refined project in a lot of ways and something that's a lot more accessible. I still prefer NieR for what it did, raw as it was and kind of unpolished gem as it could be at a time. NieR was just brutally intelligent, and it was the kind of game that made me just love video games as an art form all over again. It was an art first kind of project, and it's really good to see it being remade. Hopefully they've done a good job with it, but looking at the demo, there's a lot to be very positive about. So, I'm going to put links to the various stories in the description underneath this video, so if you're interested in reading up more, it's all Twitter kind of threads, so you'll be able to check it out. There'll be the video for the NieR game, there'll be the kind of the controversy around 6 Days in Fallujah, there'll be Marty's story, Martin Scorsese, I mean I always call him Marty, but Martin Scorsese's story, and you'll be able to click on the Twitter links to read up more about what I've just covered here. Otherwise, let me know what you think of the various stories here, also if there's anything else that I may have missed, and just let me know what you think of the format. I'm thinking these kinds of short and sharp 2-minute clips of various games and topics could be an interesting way of summing up the week, and I hope it resonates because I'm always looking to do more things with this here YouTube channel. Please do click the like and subscribe if you enjoy my videos, and please, if you do like my work and want to support it directly, please consider backing me on Patreon. You can do so for as little as $1 a month, and in return you get access to all the visual novels that we create, as well as you're directly supporting my work and the growth of this channel, which is growing nicely. I'm very excited about what the year lies ahead for this channel. Alright, thanks very much for everybody. As it is a Friday, have a great weekend, play lots of games and stuff. Catch us on the streams. I'm going to be doing one later on today, and we will see you next week.